Hey you! Yeah you! Why are you not subscribed to this channel? I see you are not subscribed to this channel. Subscribe! I'm watching you. Now back to the video.
Welcome back to the channel. I'm with Erwin Dijkstra. Erwin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks for asking.
My guy, everybody has been asking for you, like I'm getting a message from like everywhere. People are dying to know your deck profile. Where did you play and when did you play?
Last week I played on the Dutch Open. I got 7th place with Chaos Thunder Dragon.
Can we see your deck profile? Like, please.
Yes, please. So I played this deck because I believe it topped a couple months ago, back in Ishizu tournament format, a Thunder Dragon heavy bestial deck topped. And because I've been playing Thunder Dragon since 2019, I thought I've got to play it, especially since Sprite was just killed by a ban list.
Understandable.
So I decided to still take it, a bit less bestials than then, but it's still way outperformed. So,
Okay. Yeah, if you go X11, it's insane. Let's go.
So I'll start with the best Thunder Dragon of them all. Thunder Dragon Solar. This card is fucking insane. This card's an FTK against almost every deck. It gives you so much advantage. It gives you basically a free Saryuja, then you draw into the rest of your power cards. Then your board builds itself. Like if you open this card, the game plays itself, which is really free. Okay. Then the advantage to talk about, triple OG Thunder Dragon, the OGs, 1 Roar, 1 Dark and 1 Hawk. I still play it, not for the body, but to have another mulligan effect, so you draw more into your side deck cards, draw more into your heavy power player one-offs, which came up a couple of times. It's also a great chain block if you make Saryuja with it. Then for consistency and graveyard setup, 4 dangers. Brotar might be the best card in the deck, non-ironically. Also, special summon it, get the graveyard setup, search any card in your deck. It's just insane. Even if you open it, you just normal summon it, get in the graveyard, summon it back with Pisty, and go on. It's just a crazy card, just like Savored. Savored and another card we'll get to in a moment basically make the engine fully cyclable, so you can play a lot of one-offs and just keep on recycling them. Another 2 of the best cards in the deck. Crazy that these aren't banned yet, including Chaos Space. Like this engine speaks for itself, it makes this deck pop, it makes seals basically free. Now for the bestials, 3 Magnamut. Because it's a combo piece, it's no longer just a hand trap. Basically every deck, apart from Kashtira, gets a dark or light in the graveyard. Activate this even in the end phase. Search one of your combo pieces you're missing, and from that point you really can't lose. Okay. Then we play 1 of every other bestial currently. Currently a bit torn on Baldrake if I still want to play it, but I decided to play this in the end because Baldrake plus Drew's Worm is just great interruption on its own, and it's kind of your secondary layer of interruption after you've gone through your main interruption of seals and IP. And of course, Saranir is just great in getting your Lubellion in the grave if you weren't able to Chaos Space into it or weren't able to hard draw it. And of course I play 2 Lubellion. I play 2 because it's way searchable with Brotar, Chaos Space, Savored, basically anything. And otherwise with Saranir you can just foolish it and even get it back with Savored, a play I've done a couple of times and which is just insanely overpowered. 1 target for Lubellion, Granite Regained. Basically Chaos Space 4, but better, because it also reborns bestials. And now for the real power cards. All of these 3 cards are just basically insane. Especially these 2 are the main search targets for your Magnamut in the end phase. This card we all know from previous metas, it's just an untargeting board clear. It makes sure that every trap matchup is an instant win. It doesn't target, you can even use the effect on turn 1 to hand loop your opponent. Combined with Darkest Diabolos, that's a hand loop for 2. And besides your regular board, there are few decks which really can play through that. This card, perhaps a bit less known by most. Really overpowered. Pendulum effect. Get a banished dragon monster back by paying 1000 life points. And it puts it face up in the extra deck. You can summon it from the extra deck or hand by banishing a light and a dark. And then on the field you can pay half your life points and send as many cards you control to the graveyard and as many cards your opponent controls to the graveyard. So these 2 are basically non-targeting board clears, and there are few decks right now which can really live through a non-targeting board clear, or that have more than 1 imperm. For example, against Runic they have 1 imperm and 1 pop. If you can only bait one of them, then these two can make sure that their fountain dies, their other back row dies. And then it's a free road to OTK with just one of these and 2 Bestials. And then Melody of Awakening Dragon searches all these 3 guys because of their stats. I only play 2 because once again in the main combo you just draw like crazy. The other ways to search these cards, so you don't want to brick on multiple. And then other consistency cards are Triple Allure of Darkness because you play basically only darks.
Of course.
And the Chaos Emperor can catch your darks back, or you can just banish it to the Dragon Roar from hand, and that's a dark on field immediately. Like that's, I've done that once, I think, and yeah, of course, it won me the game. Then one big issue with the deck is that it has a bit of a problem against a Rise Heart currently. So I play triple Book of Eclipse, triple Imperm. Imperm because it stops both the Castira lines, both the Zone Lock and the Rise Heart Pass, and Book of Eclipse because it's pretty insane right now.
Yeah, it's good in general.
And also because your general end board, we'll get to that in the extra deck, is basically just IP Masquerena, Heretic Seals and a couple of Bestials in hand, which is a surprising amount of interruption. And then it's also possible to have your first interruption be Book of Eclipse and have your board be completely unaffected.
Nice. Any main deck cards?
This is 43 cards in the main deck currently.
43. Thinking of cutting something or?
Yeah, currently I'm only thinking of cutting the Baldrake because it doesn't really come up much in the main deck. But otherwise, you could see I already ran a lot of cards at 1 or at a minimal amount, and basically everything is necessary. I'm actually thinking of upscaling it a bit, since consistency at this point is not really an issue.
Okay, cool, nice.
Extra deck is basically a lot of utility one-offs, actually only one-offs. Striker Dragon for simple link plays, don't even use the effects because we don't play rockets. Pisty because play a lot of link force with good arrows, and Pisty comes up a lot. This deck spams like crazy and Pisty makes sure that you can keep spamming. Bring back your Brotar, bring back your Saver to get it back into grave, bring back a Magnamut, trigger its effects. Then the 2, well this is basically your end board most games. Seals in this deck is crazy because it, apart from being a bounce, which is against most decks quite a decent interruption, it also gets you a Dragon from deck, which can get you a Brotar to search another Bestial in good matchups. It can get you a Magnamut for just a search in the end phase. And it basically also means that to out discard, people go to the battle phase way too early in their combo. Then they do bait this, you do have to do this, get Magnamut, but they can't OTK. Then other utility, Dark, because I play a lot of Darks. There's not a lot of Dark decks in the moment, in the format at the moment. So I've been using the destroy, the effect it gets when it gets destroyed more often, which can get you a Danger, which can get you a Levianeer. It's also great when you have a Brotar already in your opening hand or your graveyard. You can crash this, trigger both this and the Brotar, and in main phase 2 just go off. Nightmares, are these necessary? No. Are they useful? Yes. Appaloosa, do I make this? No. Is it useful? Yes. Soyuja, is this useful? Yes. Do I make this? Hell yes.
Absolutely.
Like in your main combo, especially with Solar, which gets you a token, you can go into Soyuja really easily. Gives you the consistency by drawing, gives your opponent a nice imperm target, so that you can kind of bait the imperm, and it's a dragon in the extra monster zone which can go into seals. It's just amazing in this deck. Access Code Talker. In testing, I think I've made this card 1 time total. I do not really make this card. The reason I play it is to just give the Castira players a nice button to banish, because everyone banishes Access Code Talker. Now, as you can see, I play a lot of one-offs that I really want to keep, and if a Castira player sees that, they banish the one-off that they think has the most impact.
You're using it as bait?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And well, it's been working. I think this got banished like...
all the time?
Yeah, all the time. One of the best cards in the deck, Underworld Goddess. Great IP target or going second. You just get 3 cards on field, including a link of your opponent's monster, and it's also a blanket negate. This is especially great against, for example, Sprite or weird rogue decks like Plunder Patrol Runic. They just don't really have an answer to this card. And the effect to negate as Summon from the Graveyard also came up a lot last weekend. XC Monsters, number 38. If you have a really extender heavy hand with a lot of level 8s, you can make this. I have made this a couple of times and it has never really been game winning. But it's fun to make. And it makes sure that your board doesn't lose against battle because it can redirect one battle. LP at home, yeah, it's just LP at home. It makes it attack and defense 0 and I think that's why Dragon Link players don't play it. But it's busted. 2 Bestials makes this and that's full combo. Zombie Vampire, made it once, didn't have an impact. Okay. But it's just funny. In theory, this is a card which cannot be targeted by your opponent's monsters except when they're summoned from the graveyard. So it's an easy line into Zeus. But I also, this past weekend I haven't really made Zeus because it hasn't really been necessary. Most of the games where I got a battle phase I was able to OTK, which was kind of nice. So Zeus didn't really come up. It came up in my round 1, but I don't think my opponent would like it if I talked about that. Side deck is not really too special. Like Chains of Hearts is just an extender, like we have a Link monster, we have generic Link monsters, take anything, link it away. Branded Beast, this is your second Lubellion target. This card is amazing against control decks, but it's really awful to draw, especially against kind of aggro decks, which means that I play it in side deck to side in against, well, against Runic, against Naturia, against Labyrinth. I think it didn't came up, I sided in quite a couple of times, but never came up, but it's a great utility to have in the side deck as a one-off. Feather Duster, I drew this like every time, which was amazing. Yeah, don't have to explain this. Then these 3 cards, all of these 3 should be banned. Like this for sure, because everyone can play it, and any Bestial triggers this. Or, which is quite fun, a Thunder Dragon War, which was summoned under Sayuja because of the attack boost. Like, the most broken part about this card is not even destroying all spells in your opponent's hand and field, but it's mainly getting the hand knowledge. Because this deck has a very specific number of interactions, which are all slightly different. And it's really nice to be able to see in a Sprite hand, for example, what specific extenders they have, where to use your Baldrake, where to use your seals. This is basically just a meme card. For the people that don't know this, it's a Link monster, Link 4, generic, except tokens, which might come up. The effect is on summon, it gets a number of effects based on your cards in the graveyard. There's only one which comes up in this deck, which is its effect for Dragon, which burns your opponent for 100 damage for every dragon in your grave. Lancia, because it's Lancia. Yeah, because it's Lancia. 2 more Bestials. This is specifically for decks that are weak to Bestials, but mainly for Branded, because Gimmick Puppet Nightmare is just a horrible card to face. So it's nice to have a bit of a higher Bestial count. Also, if you know you're going first, and you know your, for example, Book of Eclipses or Imperms are going to be less impactful, you can play more ancient cards like this to make sure that you have more consistency, have more power plays, and triple evenly, because there's still a lot of decks which just lose too evenly, and it's fun to have them lose too evenly.
That's it.
That's it. That's the deck.
That's it. And you went X11.
I went X11. I had 1 draw up to the finals against Dinka Fem, but unfortunately he main decks Roll. He main decks Gamma, and yeah, those cards are quite good against this deck. So if I'm to play this in the future, I am currently looking for more tech options that make me play through those cards more. But that's been a challenge.
Okay, nice. Any shoutouts?
Shoutouts. Okay, there's a lot of cards in here that aren't actually mine. So shoutouts to Assad, Kevin, Sam, Fabian, Brieux, and Ivar for borrowing me cards. Also shout out for Assad for helping me build this deck. Shout out to Kevin Brandt for helping me test this deck and beating my ass a couple of times so that I knew what to change. And I guess shout out to the Dragon Colossus.
Free Colossus, I heard Free Colossus. Last question, do we see you in London?
Hell yeah.
Let's see you in London. Take care.